2 weeks before the wedding, my daughter sent me a note that read, "You won't be needed at my wedding. I've made arrangements for you to watch everything on TV. My husband's parents don't want you around." I stood there in the kitchen, reading it over and over again, hoping maybe I had misread something, that there was more to it. But no, those 3 sentences sat there like stones. No love you, no thank you, no warmth at all. Just instructions to stay away. My hands trembled slightly, the paper softening where my fingers pressed too long. For a moment I didn't breathe. The light above the counter hummed faintly, the only sound in the house. I whispered to myself, "So that's it, huh?" It didn't even sound like my own voice. I didn't call her. I didn't shout or beg or demand an explanation. I just walked to my desk, opened the drawer and pulled out my old flip phone. The plastic creaked as I held it. I typed 4 words. "Okay, I wish you well." Then I stared at the screen for a while before pressing send. When I did, something inside me shifted. Not rage, not even sadness, just a cold, heavy stillness that settled deep. I sat for a long time after that, staring at the wall, before my eyes landed on the wedding binder she and I had worked on together. It was still sitting on the dining table from the last time she'd been over. I remembered how she used to spread out all the pages and samples, her eyes bright with excitement. "Dad, we can't have chicken, it's too basic," she had said, laughing as she flipped through menu cards. "Whatever you want, sweetheart," I had replied, pretending to care about napkins and chair covers while really just enjoying her company. We'd laughed about the costs, joked about how ridiculous wedding prices were. I paid every deposit without blinking. Her mother hadn't offered a cent, and her in-laws only criticized. But I didn't care, she was my daughter. I wanted her day to be perfect. Now, staring at that same binder, the laughter from those Sundays felt like echoes from another life. I took a deep breath and started pulling out the receipts. One by one I made the calls. "Catering company? Yes, this is Robert. I need to cancel the order." The man on the other end hesitated. "Sir, your event is in 2 weeks. Are you sure?" "I'm sure," I said quietly. Next was the baker. "Cancel the cake order, please." "But sir, it's already—" "Cancel it." My voice stayed calm the entire time. No anger, no bitterness, just a quiet, mechanical tone like someone shutting down an engine. The decorator, the florist, the chair rentals, all of them gone within a few hours. Each time I hung up, the silence grew heavier, but I didn't stop. She didn't want me there. She didn't want my presence. Then she wouldn't need my money either. That night, I sat in the dark living room, the note still on the counter where I'd left it. I stared at it for so long the words seemed to blur. I didn't eat, didn't sleep much. The strangest thing was, I didn't even cry. I thought I would. God knows I wanted to. But all I felt was that same cold clarity. She had made her choice and I was going to respect it, just not fund it. About 5 days later, I was half asleep in front of the TV when an old home video came on autoplay. My breath caught when I saw her, maybe 10 years old, twirling in the living room in a cheap princess dress, her laughter filling the room. "Daddy, will you always be at my wedding?" she'd asked in that small, hopeful voice. And I had laughed from behind the camera, replying without hesitation, "Wouldn't miss it for the world, kiddo." My throat tightened. I turned off the TV and sat there in the dark for a long time. The only light came from the faint blue glow of the screen as it went black. I wanted to call her to say something, anything, but I didn't. She had already answered that question herself in writing. The next morning I woke up before sunrise. The house was still, the air heavy. I made a pot of coffee I didn't even want and sat at the table staring at the empty chair across from me. For the first time in years the silence didn't ache, it just existed. It wasn't peace. No, not yet. It was something else, a tired kind of resolve. The kind of tired that seeps into the bones, the kind you earn after being wrung out emotionally like an old sponge. That morning the house was still. There was no sound of footsteps, no clatter of dishes, no laughter bouncing off the walls. Just me. The burnt smell of coffee I'd forgotten to pour out the night before lingered in the kitchen, bitter and stale. On the arm of the couch sat the notebook she'd once used to scribble wedding notes in, pages now collecting dust. Her handwriting used to make me smile. Big loops, bubbly letters, little hearts above every lowercase I. It was the kind of handwriting that used to feel like sunshine. But now, looking at it, it seemed foreign, like instructions from a stranger. Someone transactional. Someone cold. I sat down, took a long sip of coffee, too strong, too bitter but familiar, and picked up the phone. Habit, not hunger, had me moving. I started making calls. The first number on the list was the catering company, a high-end group she'd insisted on because, in her words, "Dad, we can't have basic food at my wedding." I could still hear her laughter that day during the tasting, teasing me when I flinched at goat cheese. "You're such a meat and potatoes guy," she'd said, grinning. "And proud of it," I'd replied, pretending I wasn't just happy to be sitting across from her, included in her plans for once. That memory stung when the man at the catering office picked up. "Good morning, sir. This is Elite Events Catering, how may I help?" I gave him my name and booking reference. There was a short pause. "Sir, you're the father of the bride, correct? The event is in 2 weeks." "Yes," I said flatly. "Plans have changed. Cancel everything. Refund whatever can be refunded." "Is everything all right?" he asked carefully, confusion in his voice. "She made it clear I won't be attending," I said, each word steady, deliberate. He hesitated, but I didn't give him space to pry further. I thanked him and ended the call. One by one I went down the list. The jazz trio, gone. The cake decorator, gone. The florist, the chair rentals, even the heater guy who was supposed to keep the guests warm if the evening turned cold. Every call sounded the same, polite, final. No anger, no bitterness, just the clean tone of a man closing an account that no longer served him. By the end of it, my notebook was filled with crossed-out names and refunded invoices. I sat back, staring at the page until the black ink blurred together. I didn't feel satisfaction or vengeance, just a strange completeness, like I had finally caught up with the reality she delivered in that 3-sentence note. She didn't want me there. Well, now she wouldn't have to pretend I was part of it at all. I didn't think about what it meant for the day itself. No food, no chairs, no cake. That wasn't my burden anymore. This wasn't my wedding to save. Sometime around noon, the phone rang again. Her mother's name flashed across the screen. I let it ring once, twice before I answered. "You canceled the vendors?" she snapped, her tone sharp, impatient. No greeting, no pause. "I did," I said simply. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she hissed. "Ask your daughter," I replied. She said I wasn't needed. I took her seriously. There was a bitter laugh on the other end. "You're being petty. Vindictive. This is going to ruin everything." "Not my wedding to ruin," I said and hung up. The silence afterward felt heavier somehow. I folded laundry just to have something to do, left the TV on low, some basketball game I wasn't watching. My mind wandered backward, graduations, birthdays, dinners where she barely looked up from her phone. I'd always told myself that's what fathers did. They showed up, quietly, even when forgotten. But this wasn't forgetting. This was a decision. A line drawn. Days passed without a call from her. I kept expecting one, a text maybe, or even a message asking why. Nothing. Just silence. Maybe she thought the in-laws would cover what I'd canceled. Maybe she assumed I'd cave like always. But not this time. I wasn't angry anymore. Not grieving either. Just done. Done being the backup. The wallet. The afterthought. By the end of the week, I boxed up the wedding binder and leftover printouts, shoved them into the back of the closet. The fridge was nearly empty now. No more cake samples or bottles of wedding wine. Just a quiet space echoing with what was left unsaid. And in that quiet, for the first time in years, I felt something close to freedom. Not peace, not yet, but something that belonged to me. The morning of the wedding, I woke before dawn. Not because I had somewhere to be, but because sleep felt pointless. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the floor until the light crept through the blinds. In the closet, hanging neatly, was the suit I'd bought months ago, a dark gray one with a pale blue tie to match her color scheme. I remembered standing in front of the mirror, adjusting the tie, imagining how proud I'd feel walking her down the aisle. Now it just hung there like a cruel joke. I didn't touch it. I didn't even open the closet door. Instead, I pulled on an old sweatshirt and a pair of jeans, clothes that had seen better days but still felt like armor. My feet hit the cold kitchen tile, and the chill ran up my legs, a quiet reminder of everything I didn't deserve, every punishment I hadn't earned. The house felt hollow, like it had forgotten what life sounded like. No ringing phones from florists. No last-minute questions about table settings. No voice calling out, "Dad, can you check this?" Just silence, thick and deliberate. I filled the coffee pot, though I didn't want coffee. Habit, not desire. My hands shook a little as I poured it into the mug. It wasn't nerves, it was that kind of emptiness that settles in when you've run out of reasons to fight. I sat at the counter, staring at nothing, and thought, this was supposed to be one of the best days of my life. Not because of the spectacle, the decorations, the applause, the smiling faces, but because it was supposed to be the day I stood beside my daughter, the girl I had raised, and watched her walk into her future. I had imagined her eyes glimmering with pride, maybe even gratitude. But instead, here I was, an afterthought, a burden she'd been told to discard. Her new in-laws had decided I didn't belong and she'd agreed. The words from her letter kept echoing in my head. You'll be able to watch everything on TV. It sounded like a cruel punchline the more I thought about it. I didn't know if she'd meant it literally or just as a jab, but I took her at her word. I turned on the television. My fingers hovered over the remote for a moment before I found the wedding website, the one she had built without me, with pictures of her smiling beside her fiancé and his family. There was a live stream link. I clicked it. The screen flickered, then steadied. And there she was, my daughter. Dressed in white lace, her hair pinned perfectly, eyes bright. She looked stunning. She looked like everything I had worked for her to have. But as I watched her, I didn't feel pride. I didn't feel joy. I felt like a stranger watching someone else's story play out. Someone who shared my blood, my last name, but not my place. The camera drifted across the venue. I recognized some faces, her college friends, a few distant relatives, all smiling, chatting. But then something caught my eye. The tables were set, gleaming under the lights, but there was no food. No trays. No servers. At first I thought maybe the caterers were running late. But then the vows began under the floral arch I had once paid a deposit for. The camera panned again. Guests were whispering now. A woman fanned herself with a paper program, a man scrolled nervously through his phone. The wedding planner appeared in the background, pacing with a phone pressed to her ear, her expression tight. My chest clenched. I leaned in closer. It was happening, the fallout. I didn't smile. I didn't smirk. I didn't even breathe deeply. I just folded my arms and watched. No food. No drinks. No cake. Just an elegant, hollow celebration. A perfect frame with nothing behind it. 30 minutes later my phone rang. Her name lit up the screen. I stared at it for a long time before answering on the third ring. What the hell happened? She demanded. Her voice came fast, sharp, panic wrapped in anger. The caterers didn't show up. The cake isn't here. Nothing's delivered. Did you cancel everything? I didn't raise my voice. Your in-laws didn't want me there, I said evenly. I assumed they had the rest covered. There was silence. I could almost hear her thinking, trying to form a defense. Then she shouted, You embarrassed me. People are hungry, everyone's whispering, the wedding is falling apart. I can't believe you'd do this to me. I took a breath, steady, controlled. You told me I wasn't needed, I said. That was your choice. I respected it. Don't call me when the consequences show up. Her breathing changed, ragged now, shaky. I didn't mean it like that, she said, her voice breaking. They didn't want drama. They didn't want conflict. I let out a short laugh. And you thought cutting your own father out days before the wedding wouldn't cause any? She didn't answer. I could hear a muffled sob, the kind that comes when realization hits too late. Don't call me again, I said quietly. Then I ended the call. The silence afterward wasn't peace. It was weight, heavy, grounded, mine. It wasn't the absence of sound, it was the presence of a boundary. For the first time in years, I had drawn a line and hadn't rushed to erase it when someone tripped over it. I placed the phone face down on the table and sat there, hands clasped, like a man who had just given his final testimony and was waiting for the world to move on without him. There was no victory in it, no sense of righteousness. Just a hollow stillness, the kind that settles after a house has been emptied out. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. I wasn't even sad in the same way. What I felt was quieter, heavier. Final. I was done. Done explaining myself, done chasing her approval, done begging for scraps of closeness. That evening the phone rang again. Her mother this time. I didn't answer. I let it go to voicemail. Later, sitting in the old recliner she used to curl up in as a little girl, I listened. Her mother's voice was sharp, high-pitched, dripping with accusation. What you did was cruel, she said. She's devastated. Do you even care? Do you realize how this looks? I didn't call back. There was nothing left to say that wouldn't be twisted. Because the truth, the one no one wanted to hear, was simple. I did care. I had always cared. But caring didn't mean allowing myself to be humiliated in private and paraded in public as decoration. Being a father didn't mean being a doormat. She wouldn't understand. She never had. And honestly, I didn't owe her that kind of explanation anymore. The fallout didn't stop there. Over the next few days, the messages came in slow and steady, like poison working its way through the bloodstream. Never enough to kill, just enough to keep the ache alive. A cousin texted first. Uncle Robert, I think you went too far. She was emotional. You could have just let her cool off. I read it twice, then set the phone down. What was I supposed to say? That I had spent years cooling off, years stepping back so she could have her peace while I swallowed mine? Then came the call from Tom, a family friend who'd known us for decades. "Hey Rob," he started, voice gentle, rehearsed. "Just wanted to check in on you. Heard about everything." I said nothing. The silence stretched until he filled it, like he always did. "You should have just let it slide, man," he said finally. It was her big day. "Sometimes it's better to eat a little pride for the sake of peace." "Peace for who?" I asked quietly. He hesitated. "For her. For everyone. You know how weddings are, stressful, emotional." "I wasn't invited, Tom," I cut in. Peace was never part of the offer. He sighed, the kind of sound people make when they want to be the wise one in the conversation. "You've got to forgive, Rob. Optics matter. Family matters." "Yeah," I said, voice flat. "It does." And then I ended the call. A day later, one of her bridesmaids messaged me directly. I didn't even know she had my number. "Mr. Foster, the food situation completely ruined the reception. People were hungry, the timing was off, and everyone said it reflected poorly. You should be ashamed." Ashamed. That word stayed in my throat like smoke. No one asked how it felt to watch my daughter carve me out of her life like a surgeon removing a diseased limb. No one asked what it meant to pour myself into someone's future only to be told I wasn't welcome to witness it. No one asked if I was okay. And for the first time, I didn't care that they didn't. 3 days after the wedding, a text came through from her. Short. Careful. "I regret how it happened. Things got out of hand. I wish it could have gone differently." That was it. No apology. No real ownership. Just a thin layer of regret spread over years of dismissal. I read it twice, then placed the phone face down on the table. The room was dim, the light outside fading into evening. I stared at the wall until my eyes lost focus. There was nothing to say. She had already told me everything that mattered in that note. I wasn't wanted. Not really. Now that the fallout had hit, she wanted to reframe it. A misunderstanding, a misstep, a bad moment. But I didn't buy it. Not anymore. The truth was, I had seen it coming for years. Little things. Being left out of parent-teacher meetings. Hearing about milestones from mutual friends instead of her. Watching her lean closer to her mother's family at every event while I stood on the edge, invited but invisible. I told myself it didn't matter. That love wasn't about proximity or credit. That being a father was about showing up, even if no one noticed. But when she told me I wouldn't be needed at her wedding, it wasn't just rejection. It was years of quiet dismissal finally spoken out loud. No amount of regret-filled texts could undo that. She had chosen her side. And now I had chosen mine. I thought about calling her. Just once. To say what I hadn't said. To tell her what it felt like to be replaced. To be treated like a name on a check instead of a person who stayed, who tried. To remind her that I had been there, always. Not perfectly but consistently. But I knew the truth, she wasn't ready to hear it. Maybe she never would be. And I was done begging to be heard. I had already spoken, through silence, through the cancellations, through finally stepping back. That night, I pulled an old photo album from the closet. The one with the cracked spine and faded cover. It smelled faintly of dust and time. I flipped through page after page. Her first steps, her first bike, scraped knees, birthday parties, vacations I'd saved months for. Each picture carried its own ache, but not the kind that begged for tears. I smiled sometimes, winced others. Mostly I felt something strange and steady. Gratitude. Because I had been there. Fully. Even when it wasn't easy, even when it wasn't returned. I had loved her the way a father should. And if she couldn't see that now, maybe one day she would. But that day wouldn't come at the cost of my dignity. Before bed, I texted her back just 2 words. Message received. Then I turned off my phone. I didn't need her response. I already had all the closure I was going to get. The days that followed were loud. Not the house. It stayed as quiet as always, but the world around me buzzed. The wedding was over, but the ripples kept spreading. Family group chats lit up. Old contacts reached out. People I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly had opinions. It was strange, how one act of self-respect could cause more noise than decades of quiet sacrifice ever had. I became the villain in some versions. The sympathetic hero in others. I didn't try to explain myself. I didn't post online. I didn't justify. But the story traveled anyway, reshaped and retold depending on who was speaking, on what made them more comfortable. The idea of a father who'd finally said enough, or the idea of one who'd failed to stay silent. Then one evening the phone rang again. Angela. My sister. She'd always been a little distant from the family chaos, not because she didn't care, but because she'd learned the hard way that getting too close meant getting burned. When I answered, her voice was softer than I remembered. I heard what happened, she said. From 3 different people. All with different versions. I didn't ask which one she believed. Didn't care to. Just tell me yours, she said finally. So I did. I told her everything, the note that ended it, the calm message I sent, the vendors I canceled, the phone call where my daughter screamed and I stayed quiet. When I finished, there was a long silence on her end. I thought maybe the line had dropped. Then she said simply, "Good for you." And for the first time in weeks I felt something like relief. But not everyone was like Angela. Some people made it their mission to dissect my silence as though it were a crime. One of my uncles, someone I hadn't spoken to since my daughter's graduation, sent me a long message on Facebook about family unity and how real men don't take things so personally. I didn't respond. A neighbor from across the street, the kind who'd barely lifted a hand to wave in years, walked over one afternoon while I was mowing the lawn. I saw him approach out of the corner of my eye, that hesitant shuffle people have when curiosity outweighs courtesy. He stood there for a second, hands in his pockets, the hum of the mower still vibrating between us. "Heard your daughter had a rough wedding," he said finally. "Something about the food." I stopped the mower, wiped the sweat off my forehead and looked at him. "Guess you heard right," I said. Then I turned the mower back on. He didn't try again, but I caught the look in his eyes, the one that said he wanted me to explain, to justify, to smooth the sharp edges of what I'd done. As if my truth would make him feel better. But I wasn't in the business of comforting people who only showed up when there was gossip to chew on. Still, not every sting came from strangers. The one that cut the deepest came from someone I used to think of as a second son, my daughter's best friend growing up, Mason. He had practically lived in my house through his teenage years. I coached his little league team, helped him build his first bike ramp, even paid for his senior prom tux when his dad couldn't. So when his name popped up on my phone, I actually smiled for a moment. Foolishly, I thought he might understand. His message read, "Look, I get that you were hurt. But what you did messed up her day. There were better ways to handle it." I stared at that message for a long time, hands trembling, not from anger at first but from heartbreak. I wanted to remind him of every late-night ride home after practice, every dinner he'd shared at my table, every conversation where I had treated him like my own. I wanted to ask how he could look at what I did and see cruelty instead of consequence. But I didn't. I deleted the thread. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come from enemies. It comes from people you thought would always see your heart, but instead choose to judge your silence. Amid the noise, though, came a few quiet ripples of support, unexpected ones. An email arrived one morning from Joel, a former coworker I hadn't spoken to in years. It was short. No judgment, no pity. Just truth. "You don't owe anyone your presence where you're not respected," he wrote. "It's okay to be done." That line stuck with me. I printed it out, wrote it down in ink, and pinned it to the corkboard in my kitchen, right above an old photo of my daughter and me from her 12th birthday. She was laughing, cake smeared on her nose, my arm wrapped around her shoulders. Back then, I believed our bond was unbreakable. But time has a cruel way of testing faith in relationships. Some endure. Others reveal how fragile they always were. I began to notice a change, not in how I moved through the world but in how the world moved through me. I still woke up early. Still made my coffee. Still took evening walks when the air cooled and the sky turned soft. But something inside me had shifted. I wasn't hollow anymore. The ache had dulled into something quieter, something solid. I no longer flinched at every buzz of my phone. I stopped checking her social media, stopped replaying the sound of her voice from that last call. I had done what I believed was right. And even though others twisted it, painted me as cold, vindictive, heartless, I knew the truth. I hadn't ruined her wedding. I had simply stepped out of a story that had already erased me. If that made people uncomfortable, if it unsettled their idea of what a father should tolerate, then that discomfort was theirs to carry, not mine. Still, late at night, when the house creaked and the silence stretched long enough to hear my own heartbeat, my mind wandered. I thought about her. About the aftermath she must have been sitting in. I imagined her standing in that reception hall, surrounded by half-empty tables and murmuring guests, realizing what it meant to lose not just a vendor, but a father. I imagined her eyes searching the room for something that wasn't there. Maybe, just maybe, she felt the absence, not of decorations or catering but of something deeper. I wondered if she had cried. Not out of anger but recognition. If only for a moment, did she understand what her choices had cost? But I didn't hold on to those thoughts. I let them pass through me like weather. I wasn't punishing her. I wasn't waiting for her to crawl back or apologize. I just needed her to understand. Her choices had weight, and so did mine. By the end of that week, the storm had passed. The gossip moved on to someone else's scandal. The text stopped. The phone went quiet again. And in that quiet, I found something I hadn't felt in years. Not joy. Not pride. Strength. The kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself. That doesn't post or argue or explain. The kind that sits quietly, steady and sure, knowing it made the right call, even when it cost everything. It's strange how silence, once unbearable, can become familiar company. Not comforting exactly, but honest. In the weeks that followed, the house didn't feel empty anymore. For the first time, the quiet wasn't a reminder of what was missing. It was proof of what I'd reclaimed. I stopped waiting for a knock on the door, a phone call, some grand apology that would never come. Her silence told me all I needed to know. And when I finally accepted that, something in me settled. My breathing changed. Not easier, but deeper. Like someone who had stopped gasping for air that was never meant for him. It was quiet now. But it was my quiet. This space, this life, I had built it. And for once, I wasn't living on standby for someone else's needs. Every so often, I'd pass by the wedding binder tucked away in the hall closet. I never opened it again. I didn't need to. I knew what was inside, proof of effort, evidence of love. It wasn't bitterness that kept me from looking. It was clarity. I had shown up. I had given without keeping score. I had loved her through silence, through distance, through every cold shoulder. And when she finally said I wouldn't be needed, I listened. That's what no one seemed to understand. I didn't retaliate. I didn't lash out. I simply took her at her word. Eventually, I saw pictures from the wedding. Not because I went searching, but because people shared them as people always do. Someone tagged an old family photo, one of those post-Christmas shots from years ago. One click led to another and there it was, her wedding album. She looked radiant, I won't lie. There was joy on her face, but there was also something missing. And I don't mean me necessarily. I mean presence, real presence. The kind that makes a person glow from within. There was a stiffness in the smiles, a hesitation in the laughter, an undercurrent of tension you could almost feel through the screen. Her eyes told the truth her mouth couldn't. They didn't relax. They held something back, guilt maybe or realization. And then my eyes went to the cake table again. Empty. A perfect sign that read, "Sweet Beginnings," stood proudly in front, but there was no cake in sight. No centerpiece, no symbol of celebration. Just space, raw, hollow space. That picture stayed with me more than any other. Not because of what was missing, but because of what it said without saying a word. There are consequences for every decision, even the ones you think are small. Eventually, one of my cousins reached out. She and her husband moved into a new apartment, they said gently, as if trying to mend something fragile. Maybe you could send a card? I didn't answer right away. I stared at the message for a long time before I finally said, "What kind of card do you send to someone who disinvited you from their life?" There was a pause on the line, the kind that tells you the other person doesn't have an answer. Not with rage, I added quietly, but with precision. Later that night, I thought of what I could have written. Congrats on your arrangement. Glad your wedding had enough drama to last a decade. I almost laughed at the absurdity of it. But the truth was, I didn't hate her. That's the hardest part to explain to anyone. I didn't walk around filled with rage or bitterness. I walked around with a wound, yes, but it was a clean one. It wasn't festering. It wasn't infected with hope or longing anymore. It had scarred over. Maybe that's what healing really looks like. Not closure. Not reconciliation. Just acceptance. So I started making little changes. Small, intentional ones. I replaced the dining table. The one she used to sit at, swinging her legs, chattering about her day, making up stories about her stuffed animals. The wood had grown worn over the years, chipped and stained with coffee rings, a few scribbles from her childhood that I'd never sanded off. I gave it away to a local shelter. When the delivery guys carried it out, one of them said, "This one's got history." I smiled faintly and replied, "Yeah, it does." Then I bought a smaller table, just 2 seats. Enough for company if I ever wanted it, but not big enough to wait for people who didn't plan to show up. It felt symbolic, though I never said that aloud. But I knew. My table, my terms. If someone wanted a seat, they'd have to earn it, not with apologies necessarily, but with effort, with truth, with presence. There were quiet moments, aching ones, where I still missed her. Not the version that rejected me, but the little girl who used to fall asleep on my chest during thunderstorms. The one who made me pinky promise that I'd walk her down the aisle one day, long before she even knew what love was. I missed that sound, her laugh echoing through the hallway, her calling me Dad, with affection instead of formality. Sometimes I wondered if she missed me too. If the silence weighed on her the way it did on me. If she ever sat at her new table, surrounded by her new life, and felt the ghost of what used to be. But I didn't let those thoughts pull me back. Missing someone and allowing them to hurt you again are two very different things. One Saturday morning, I ran into an old friend at the hardware store, someone I used to coach soccer with when our kids were young. He hadn't heard the full story, just fragments, but enough to ask cautiously, "You and your daughter doing okay?" I looked him in the eye and said simply, "We're not talking right now. That's her choice." He frowned, the kind of look that's half pity, half confusion. "That's tough," he said softly. "Family stuff always is." "Yeah," I said, giving a small, tired smile. "But not drawing the line, that's tougher." He nodded like he didn't quite understand but respected the weight in my tone. We said our goodbyes and I walked away feeling oddly lighter. The truth is, love without boundaries isn't love. It's servitude. And I had served long enough. I'll always be her father, that's a title no ceremony can strip away. But being her emotional punching bag, her financial safety net without a seat at the table, that job is over. If she ever comes back, it won't be to the same man. It'll be to someone who knows exactly what he's worth. Someone who won't let blood be an excuse to forget it again. If you've ever had to draw the line with someone you love, you know the pain of choosing peace over presence. This story isn't about revenge. It's about self-respect. Sometimes the hardest thing you'll ever do is step back and let someone feel the weight of their own choices. Love this story? Like, share, and subscribe for more epic audio adventures. Stay curious and keep listening.